Who is Cris Njoki?
Just a girl
Okay.
who loves style, who loves fashion. Actually, I am iconic. I had to create a new collection by myself.
And what mission are you on?
Change as many lives as we can, one dress at a time. My parents instilled in me, just like, don't try too hard to fit in. It's very rare for me to see a problem that can't be solved. And if the problem can't be solved, then why worry about it? The day we stop to grow, we begin to die. Don't let a day pass without you doing that one small thing that takes you a step closer. The more you keep promises to yourself, the more you're convincing your brain that actually whatever goal you set, you can achieve it.
Classmates, mko fiti? Welcome to another episode, another lecture, and I'm excited about our lecturer for the day. Leo tunatoka hapa hivi tumeoga, tunatoka hapa hivi tumepiga luku. She is an amazing fashionista, runs a beautiful brand, and I can't wait for you guys to meet her. We're still filming at Longonot Place. Come check out their service departments. Amazing rates, amazing place. Check them out. Waambiwa kupatia ile discount ya field director. Awesome. Our guest lecturer for today is a lady full of life. She has stories for days. And humility is ikojua. She calls it as it is. I happened to sit on a panel with her, and immediately after the panel, I was like, I need to have you on the show because the points that she spoke about, the way she spoke about it, she's so level-headed and she shoots straight, doesn't, and a story mob. Goes straight for the kill, and I'm so excited for this. Yeah. Hi, Cris.
Hi.
Cris Njoki. It feels wrong when I call you using one name.
Really? Yeah, like you have to complete it.
Yeah, Cris Njoki.
Yeah. Hi, Phil.
Thank you for coming through.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Looking amazing, elegant as usual. So
Always.
this is you every day.
Yes, this is me every day. Unfortunately, I'd love to say it's not, but it is.
Niliwaambia aje hapo kwa humility.
Guys, you have to look good. I run a fashion house. What are we? I can't be looking shabby.
Who is Cris Njoki and what mission are you on?
All right. Well, you went straight for it, didn't you?
Straight for it.
Okay, so mission is big. I'd say Cris Njoki is, just a girl.
Okay.
Who loves style, who loves fashion, and realized that, this dream that I had of running a fashion brand actually became a little bit bigger. I realized I could change women's lives, their livelihoods, them and their families. I could actually impact women around my region through this thing that I loved doing so much. And so, my mission, I guess, is to just keep going for it and just change as many lives as we can, one dress at a time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let me put it into context. And we start from right at the very beginning. And how did you grow up? How you grew up, do you think influenced who you are right now? Did you ever see yourself on this particular mission and path when you were just a little girl growing up?
I don't know. So growing up, I do remember clearly my dad, he gave me this sense of maybe not power, but this sense of I'm bigger than, I can actually do whatever I commit my mind to.
Right.
And I try and think where it came from. So what happened is when I was young, I lost my mom, unfortunately, just after my sister was born.
Right.
And so it was just me, my sister, and my dad. And my sister was really small. And so my dad sort of gave me responsibilities. So the way it became is because he used to work outside of the city. Mm-hmm. Actually, we used to live in Mombasa, and then he moved us to Nairobi, and then he still worked there. So we still had to be, we had to be separate probably a lot of the times. Mm-hmm. But he gave me a lot of responsibility, and I think that really crafted who I became as an individual.
Yeah.
Because I'd be, he'd tell me when I'm gone, you're in charge of your sister. Of course, there'd be a nanny and the milkmaid, and we'd be staying close to his sister, my aunt.
Right.
But he still gave me that sense of, you're the one in charge, even with all these people. It's you need to make sure your sister is okay. I'm not there. And I think just that in itself just really just made me get empowered. And I was like, okay, I know I'm a child, but like he's treating me like a grown up. So
Right. Yeah.
I got this. Clearly, if he trusts me to do this, then that means I can do it, you know? And I think that really influenced, honestly, how I am today. Because I'm very, let's get this done.
Yeah.
If there's an issue, you know, I'm so solution oriented,
Right.
where it's very rare for me to see a problem that can't be solved.
Right.
And if the problem can't be solved, then why worry about it? You know?
Yeah.
If you have no say, if you have, you know, no control over it, then maybe we shouldn't worry about it.
Right.
But if we can control it and we can do something, then let's find a way to do it.
The name stoicism. Yeah.
Oh, is that the name?
Yeah, that's
Stoicism.
it's,
I like
a,
the
it's a
sound of
form.
it.
Yeah, that's what they always say. It's don't call it religion. It's just a philosophy of living. Stoicism.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can't control it, let it be. You know,
Yeah.
and what you can control, go for it.
Yeah.
Wow. This is interesting to me because it's something I try and pick out from a lot of the people that I talk to, and there's this brand of women that I love, daddy's girls,
Yes.
and they are so strong, and you just give me the exact same vibe.
And I'm the firstborn.
and you're the firstborn, so just maybe you can speak on that just a little, and just a father's impact on a daughter, on a girl.
Yeah.
Because I have a 4-year-old girl, and
Yeah.
I'm always looking to learn.
Yeah, I think, honestly, like, I don't even know if I can speak enough about my father.
Right.
He's amazing. My dad is the reason I actually decided to study fashion. Because even because I went to school, I went to high school, and I was really good in sciences and math. I was really good in math, guys. Like,
Wow.
And for a long time, he thought I was going to go that direction, you know,
Yeah.
maybe like some actual mathematician, something. But that was just not my vibe, you know. I was still a bit artsy. Yes, I was good at this other stuff, but I was artsy, and I was fun, you know, life loving. And so after school, I was really confused on what I wanted to study.
Right.
And he said, okay, as you figure it out, why don't you do maybe a small course on business? You'll always need that. So I was doing that, and even that, I was like, I don't know, I'm not feeling it. He's like, okay. And at that point, I'd gotten my first sewing machine really early in life.
Yeah.
I think I was around 13 or 14 when he got me my first sewing machine. It was old and rickety, just from Mama Shona Oko.
All right.
And I used to, you know, recreate some of my mom's old clothes into clothes I wear for Sunday school. And I'd take those old school clothes, take out the sleeves, you know, make them into more trendy, current looks. And so when I couldn't figure out what to do, he was like, you know, you've been shoning these my clothes in your room for so long.
Yeah.
Why don't you go and maybe learn a tailoring course or something? You seem like you enjoy it. And it's something I used to do in my own free time, everything. And at that time, you know, that was like what? I was, I don't know if I want to say my age, but but that was a long time ago is what I'm saying. You know, that was more than, you know, probably around 12, 13, 14, 15 years ago.
Right.
That was a long time.
Right.
And that time I didn't even know there was an option to study and take this direction. I thought it was just a hobby. And he's like, yo, just go check maybe the Polytechnic. You can see if you can learn like a tailoring course or something.
Yeah.
And I went, you know, I went to check the Polytechnic. They weren't quite at the level I wanted. And then I found another school, stayed there for a little bit, and then now found the school where I actually stayed for a while.
Right.
But he's the one who pushed me to do that, you
That's
know.
amazing.
Yeah. And I was like, in my head, everyone else around me, all of my other friends were doing courses they wanted, or their parents wanted them to do, even if they didn't necessarily enjoy them, you know, because at that time everyone was like, doctor, lawyer, you know, all those ones. And my dad was like, nope, if that's what you like, and I can see that's what you like, go and try it. And it is what I liked, you know. And so for me, I was like, if he hadn't, you know, trusted me in that way, or even pushed me to do that against, I'm sure, all of his other parents' peers' wishes, I don't think I'd be here today.
Wow. That's a very thoughtful man. And considering, you know, like he actually put you first.
Yeah.
So is that what you're telling me for my girl,
Yeah.
always be considerate of what they love. what they-
Exactly.
yeah.
If she just wants to, be a ballerina, just let them. If they want to just take pictures, just let
Right.
them, and then just maybe guide them and see what opportunities they can. But now it's so much easier. I
Yeah.
feel like now with the internet, I mean, I think everyone now can see that you don't have to go to school and go to uni and do the stuck up courses to make
Yeah.
it,
Right.
So it's much easier for you.
The opportunities are there. You touch with fashion. Where did you enter and fashion come together? At what age do you remember?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, when I was around, I think 12, Apple, around 12, 13, I found a suitcase
Yeah.
full of my mom's old clothes, right? And like those old ones,
Yeah.
old school with like the shoulder pads, like those old school
Mom wasn't
ones.
a fashionista back then.
Oh no, she was.
She was.
See,
but
that
then-
was the style. Now,
Okay.
shoulder pads, Nini, with the big ass buttons here,
Yeah.
and like so that was the style then. And
Right.
I remember I found a suitcase of those clothes, and it was like I found a gold mine. I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. It's so different from what we were wearing, because at that time we were wearing a lot of those jeans with the fur. You remember?
Yes,
You
you can begin to tell her age.
Oh my god, guys. But yeah, so when I found her clothes, I was like, oh my god, this is so cool.
Right.
Like, this is very retro, and it just excited me. So I said, okay, I used to now take maybe one of them, because we used to go to church every Sunday. So church became my runway. Even guys in church who I meet these days, they're like, hey, you used to be the fashionista, because I used to come now in completely different clothes from everybody else. And I'm like 13, 14 there, when everyone is sort of like trying to fit in.
Yeah.
Me, I'm coming with things with shoulder pads and like, bright green or purple dresses that I've like cut. Maybe I've added like a slit, I've added like my things. Like I used to just take it, recreate it, make it into my own style, and then wear that. And then I'd go and just like, everyone would be like, oh my god, you look so different. I'm like, yeah, like that for me. Like looking different for me was like a flex. I was like, I don't want to look like you guys with your jeans and your fur.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, I think that's something that I feel like my parents instilled in me. Just like, don't try too hard to fit in. You're different, you'll always be different.
Yeah.
So yeah, take your own path.
It's amazing. I'm just, for some reason, it feels like where you met your passion, which is, fashion. For some reason, it feels like you are also connecting with your mom, your late mom.
Actually, yeah. If you think about it, probably
Yeah.
I felt that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So now you've gone to campus, you've studied fashion. So now how do you get into the industry? Like, do you remember your first client? And do you remember how much they paid you?
I remember. In fact, I remember when I finished school. So what happened? I had a bit of a, shaky start, just because I think being an artist, when you're starting out, there's that fear. You're like,
For sure.
what if guys don't like my stuff? What if,
Yeah.
and as an artist, and if someone doesn't like your creation, it's like
Kills
they
it.
hate you.
Yes.
Like they don't like you.
It's very personal.
Yeah, it's very personal.
Yeah.
And so when I was in school gearing up to finish, I remember I started getting worried. I'm like, okay, does this mean when I finish now I have to start my brand like for real? And so I started getting nervous. But then at the same time, I started another business, right? So just before I finished school, I started a thrift business where I would go. And that time, like, my dad was really tight with cash. So the cash he used to give me was like not like this, just enough for transport, lunch, and just barely anything else. So in that moment, I found myself, looking for thrift, the cheapest clothes, because I'm a fashionista. I still need to look good.
Yeah.
So I found myself now shopping in Ikojn. I'd go there and like find all these cute clothes for myself, and I'm still able to dress up and explore my style and all that.
Njoki ulikuwa tembea Gikomba.
Yes. Do you know, even now I go, like that times genuinely I miss Gikosh, and I'm just like, okay, let me just go. And let me just go. And some of those guys still remember me.
Baby girl. Hey. So.
Of course I won't go like this. That's when Navaka kitamba hivi. I should go looking like this.
Yeah.
But that's why I started, I think, my stint in business.
Right.
So I found when I'd go there to shop for myself, I'd still find really cute things.
Right.
But then maybe not my style, not my size. And that's when I was like, wait, I think I can try and sell this to other people.
Right.
And so I started doing that. So I remember I picked I surrendered 200 shillings from my shopping money. And I was like, okay, let me try.
I like the choice of words.
Yes, it was painful. Because I just have that 200 to buy for myself clothes. So I'm just like, okay, let me try this business thing. So I bought 4 dresses.
Right.
Each was 50 bob. And I was like, okay. I went home with them. Then now I borrowed my dad's camera. I was like, okay, let me take pictures, because now that was when Facebook was now hot, Nini. I was like, I took some pictures in my bedroom wearing those clothes, and then I posted on my Facebook page, and I said, okay, these dresses are 500 bob. And guys bought them literally in like less than an hour. I was like, what? My 200 bob became 2K. I literally got times 10 in less than an hour. I was like, yeah, I think we have a business here.
Yeah, let's
go.
I
was like, okay, cool. So this is the business I'm going to start, and this is the business that's going to finance my actual brand that I want to grow.
Right.
So yeah, I did that for about a year and a half.
Wow.
And actually, like, if again, my dad, if he hadn't stopped me, I think I'd have continued for a little longer, because he was like, okay, I know you're doing this business and you're getting a lot of money, but your goal was not this. Your goal was your brand. And so you need to really just, so I had to set targets for myself. What do I want? How much do I need for my brand, number one, to begin? And I told myself, once I reach that number, I'm done. Like, no more thrifting, nothing, because that wasn't my goal, that wasn't my mission. My mission was to start a Made-in-Kenya brand, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, and so I got to that point and I stopped that business, and then I got into now Ikojn. And it was shaky. At that time, I didn't know anybody who was doing production.
Right.
I didn't have tailors. And so I went to China to try and find guys to like produce my items. And I remember I went there with all my savings. And I spent all my savings there with that first collection. And the savings, the products came a month later from China. And I remember I opened the box, and they were completely different from what we'd agreed. The quality was so bad. The zips, like, it was such terrible.
Do they do these things on purpose?
I honestly think they do it on purpose.
Because
they know you're far, so you can't do anything.
Yeah.
And you're getting the product, you've already paid everything. So it got here, and man, let me tell you, I cried. I've never cried that much, honestly. Like, I cried, I think, for 2 days straight, because for me that was my dream, just like gone down the drain. I've been saving this money for a year and a half. It's literally my life savings. I've just started this brand. That month is when I opened G Facebook page, Instagram page, and I was so excited. I told you guys, the
something
stuff
big
is coming.
The posters,
yes,
the teasers.
Imagine, and then the stuff came, and I was like, what? So I had to start from scratch. I couldn't even use those items. I just started from scratch, and I did everything myself. And I remember at that time I hired just a young babe who had the passion. She didn't quite have the skill. And so I taught her what I learned from school. And, we ended up getting now one other person, and she taught her like that. Right. But yeah, that first time I just did everything by hand myself. And at the time, there was this lady called Diana. She was doing 100 Days of Fashion.
Okay.
And it was a big thing. She used to get all these African designers, feature them on her page, and they'd get, all these accolades. It was great. And so for me, I was like, okay, I need to land on that. And of course, I tried even everyone else I knew in fashion. I'd sent emails, because then I had to create a new collection by myself. I shot the lookbook, everything, sent it emails to everyone I knew in the industry, just like, hey guys, this is my collection. Can I, what do you think? Maybe we can stock in your store, blah, blah. I got a bunch of no's. She's the only person who said yes. She was like, oh, actually, I really like this top. Send it to me. Let's see. Maybe I can feature it on my page. I was like, yeah, sure. So I sent it, handwritten note, everything. And she featured it. And, she called me shortly after she did that on her page. And she was like, oh my God, babe, guys like this top so much. I have some people who are willing to buy. How many can you make? And literally that's how Ikojn started. Not this big trip and all this money. It literally started from that one top. And I remember the first time we made 4 of them. They sold out in under a day. And then she was like, okay, we need more.
Right.
And then shortly she opened her store. She was like, I want your stuff in my store, And we just built slowly like that.
Talk me through Icon. Like, yeah, your world is not my world. So, so everything at Icon is handmade.
Yes, it is.
So everything you design,
Yes.
you have a team of designers.
Right. So I'm the main designer,
Okay.
and we have a junior designer as well.
Right.
But then everything is made in Kenya.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to. After that stint, I was
Yeah.
like, clearly, I need more control.
China, it's
You know. And so I started slowly building a team. It took me a long, long time, and we're still building as we speak. And even as we were building, at some point the demand got a bit high, so we had to outsource and get other people to help with the manufacturing.
Right.
But I did really want to maintain this control. I think I really just had PTSD from that China story.
Yeah,
I was like,
for sure.
I want to know what's happening at all times.
Right.
And so yeah, we do everything by hand. Made in Kenya. Our team is, I like to say, 99% women, because we have this one guy who pigas pasi, and I don't like to make him feel like we don't see him. I was like, it's okay. So it's mainly women.
Right. It's amazing.
We make everything from scratch, and yeah, we do have our stores around Nairobi. It's good. I think for me, it's like being able to see how far we've come.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't think okay, it's wrong to say I didn't think we'd get here, because we're not even where I want us to be.
Right.
We could do a lot more, and I want us to be somewhere much bigger. But just to be able to see like a dream become reality, it's like, it's amazing. God is good.
I love time, and I love what time does.
Yeah.
Like it maybe 20 years ago, you will probably title yako ingekuwa fundi na hatukuwa tunapenda watu.
Yes.
But
then for a long time it was.
Tailors. But now,
Tailor,
you're a proper fashion designer.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I've been wondering why African brands don't go to be as big as, let's say, Gucci or whatever. But it's a matter of time.
Yeah, it is.
Because give Icon 100 years.
Exactly.
A lot of these houses, Gucci and the rest,
Yeah.
are like over 100 years old.
Yeah. They're generational. Like, there's some of these brands that we look up to.
Yeah.
And, as small African brands, we obsess over, and we're like, aren't we at that level?
Yeah.
Because we haven't had the time yet,
True.
We were sort of a little bit late in the fashion game as Africa, but we are getting there, and it literally just takes time and consistency. That's what I say.
So that means pretty soon Nairobi Fashion Week will be as big as New York Fashion
Yes,
Week.
yeah,
Paris.
exactly.
Do you
But then
obsess-
also Paris will be now bigger. So we'll just keep like
Wanazeeka ni sawa. Tutakuwa hapa hivi,
No, but
Africa
we'll
we are
get that
young.
for sure.
Are you one of those people who constantly obsesses over New York Week, New York Fashion Week, Paris
Yeah.
Fashion Week? What's your go-to place for inspiration?
For fashion inspo.
Yeah.
For me, okay, so generally I'm more competitive in nature. And so I'm very competitive, actually. And so for me, I tend to gravitate towards more competitive type of fashion, content.
Right.
So anything to do with like a competition, or if there's like a prize to be won, those are the things I like. I'm sick. But of course, I'll still get my inspiration from what's happening in the street style fashion weeks, because that's great to see what trends are coming up. So you're able to see beforehand, what are people wearing on the street, what are people sort of like, because I think those fashion weeks, people really use them to express their own style, and they want to be creative, and so that's why you really get a lot of inspo. But in terms of like motivation and grind, those competitions really do something for me, because I see that I'm like, yes, and it's like I want to even do that in my life. So yeah.
This I ask for the men in the room, please, and the gentlemen who are classmates over there watching. Kuna hizi nguo mnakuanga nazo kwa runway.
Yeah.
Hiyo nguo huwezi vaa Nairobi ukitembea kwa streets.
Not even Nairobi, even those guys there, a lot of the pieces you see on a runway show are not everyday pieces.
Nasikia wanazitanga couture.
Exactly. Avant-garde, I love your face. It's like,
I don't get it. But
no, but yeah, I mean, pieces you see on the runway, and I think also that's something that doesn't quite fit in. So I'm not a big fan of runway shows, especially in Kenya, just because a runway show is not supposed to show you what you want to wear tomorrow. It's supposed to show the creativity of the designer. This designer who's doing this runway show in Paris or whatever, what they're showing you on the runway is to show their creativity and how far they can go. But then in the stores, they have the pieces you can buy and wear every day. So it's more of a visibility event. It's not a sales event. But then here, we still treat it like a sales event, which is all right, but it also doesn't translate. The ROI is not the best. I've done a couple, and I'm just like, I feel like it doesn't translate in terms of sales for the designer.
Right.
Because it's the wrong motive. It's not supposed to be, I'm really sure it's not supposed to be for sales. It's supposed to be for visibility. Who makes the most noise? You know, how are people going to talk about your brand? Like, oh my God, did you see? Because you see the way you said, like, hizo vitu za runway, hakuna mtu atazivaa.
True.
But guys will kind of say, did you see those big shows? Like, who will wear that? But they're talking about the brand. So that's the whole point of a runway show. Yeah.
Gentlemen, I hope nimewasaidia. I honestly, they always confuse me.
Right.
Okay, so now you have the brand name Ikojn. First of all, Ikojn, is that like, is it a double entendre? Like Ikojn living? And,
no, it's actually my second name, Njoki, backwards. Right?
That's it.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go for like a symposium where you came up with this creative name.
Symposium was in here. We had a whole meeting, staff meeting.
Niko hapa hivi niko dem alikuwa ameona mbele, she wants to be an icon.
No, that came, of course, that was that. But then I did the backwards and I was like, oh my gosh, actually I am iconic. So this makes sense.
Njoki. Backwards is Ikojn.
Yeah.
I think you've just given every girl who's named Njoki a reason to love their name even more.
Exactly, because now I see there's usually so many Facebook pages.
Right.
Guys are like, Njoki Ikojn. I'm just like, go girl. Nice.
Oh, yeah,
get
amazing.
it.
See, you're already empowering with the name.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you have the brand Ikojn, you have the products that you're building. Now, how do you get your name out there? Now, I'm looking at the marketing and distribution, because these are two facets in business that are hard.
Yeah. So I would say for us, the one thing that really, really helped, and this could have come from my inception or from the beginning when I started with Facebook, but definitely what really helped was social media.
Right.
And I think it was in that era, because I'm telling you, I don't think you'll ever understand how powerful that moment was when I spent 200 bob on 4 dresses and I put it on Facebook and I sold them in under an hour for 2,000 bob. Like, that for me was like done. And these are people I've never seen. Yes, there are guys who live in Kenya.
Yeah.
But these are not guys who probably hata tujai kupitana on the street.
Right.
But they just chose to send money to my phone number for a dress that I've just taken a picture of and put on FB. And they just texted. It was like, yo, I'm seeing it's on sale. Is it for real? Can I pay now? And I was like, yeah.
I'm sorry to interject, because we'll keep on. Prior to you selling those 4 pieces, were you doing a lot of photos in your dresses, in your designed get-ups?
So you see, yeah. So I had a bit of a story, so
okay.
because I had pictures maybe of me in fashion school. So I would post, me in fashion school, maybe my first fashion project.
Okay.
And I would post maybe some clothes that I've made, so there was context,
So already a lot of the people following you are fashion forward.
Exactly.
And they trust you.
And they trust me, and they're like, she's a fashion forward. Of course, it wasn't at your new page. I've just bandicad. So they sort of like knew my background.
Right.
But, still, that moment to me was so powerful.
Yeah.
And it was in that moment when I realized, actually, I can, with the internet and with social media, I can sell to anybody on this planet,
Yeah.
And that for me stuck. And I was like, e-commerce became the thing that now I was striving for. When I started the Ikojn brand, it was very e-commerce led. I didn't really want to do any retail. For me, it was all about websites, social media, Instagram, Facebook. How do we create content, videos? Like, let's make a consumer on their phone feel like they're looking at the garment in an actual store. How much detail can we put in this in this content
Right.
that actually makes someone feel like, oh my God, I can almost feel it and touch it, and then make them buy it.
Okay.
You know, so that became like a core focus. So when it comes to now the marketing, I think that was just a natural sort of transition into it. Very social media led, and I always used to feel this is a free platform.
Yeah, true.
Yet it was giving us so much. You know, I was like, I almost couldn't believe it. Like in the beginning, I was like it's free. Like I don't have to pay rent anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't have to do anything. I just need to pick up a camera or a phone, shoot, you know, a video of a model in a dress.
Right.
Just make it compelling, make it lifestyle, and somebody is sold just on their device, you know?
Right.
So that's why a lot of our marketing, and even now, you know, even now, as much as we do have our retail stores, I think we're very content led, you know, and I'm still so strong on e-commerce.
Okay.
E-commerce, literally, you have the world at your fingertips. You know,
Literally.
exactly that. And you can, if you want to, you can sell to probably even Mars, you know, next year, if Elon Musk does his thing, you know, guys will move there and you'll be selling to a different continent, to a different planet. But yeah, I think for me, it's just like the power of social media has really just helped the brand. And I think also where we got like our, you know, big break was actually during COVID, because then we were already quite into the content and we were already always posting content, always posting videos, pictures, things. And so when COVID happened, everybody was at home and on their phone. We just continued. And now that's when everybody was consuming our content. And I say, like, COVID, if you ask a lot of people, they will actually tell you that they found out about Ikojn during COVID, like 2020, 2021.
Right.
Yet we've been there since 2015, you know? But then COVID
There's nothing
is
like overnight success.
Yeah, we've been there since 2015, working on our content this whole time. But a lot of, I'd say more than half of our consumers right now, they found us during COVID.
At what point did your business get to that you realize, okay, now I need to open a retail shop? Now I need to move from e-commerce, I need a retail shop.
So it was actually during COVID, right?
Okay.
So during COVID, I remember now when we got an influx of new customers. Our old customers knew the drill. They knew you shop online, it's delivered to you, you pay for it, yada, yada, yada. But then now this new crop of customers were coming with different demands. They were like, oh, now how do we trust that the quality is what we see? How do we, you know, want to touch, want to feel, want to try?
Right.
And initially we would get those requests, but very few and far between.
Right.
But then I think when, you know, during COVID, when we got this big influx of new customers, it became a bit too much to handle, and we were thinking, okay, we're not going to be sending riders with, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 sizes all the time. So like at that point I was like, okay, maybe we do need a location.
Wow.
You know, the people actually asked for a location. Again, I wasn't looking at retail at all. But I feel like I needed to listen to the consumer and just give them what they wanted.
How many retail stores do you have now?
So currently we have 3. Currently we have 3.
That's amazing.
And
That's amazing.
yeah, it's been quite the journey. I think retail is like a whole other ball game.
Okay.
But
so you listen to your the people that buy your clients a lot, and they determine like the decisions you make.
Yes.
I'm curious. I'm trying to figure which came first. So was it your style? First of all, describe your style and aesthetic. What is the style and aesthetic for Ikojn? So is it the style that came first, or was it the clients, and then the clients, you noticed the clients love buying this particular style and you switched?
So, you know, and that was always a tough one, because even in school, we weren't taught anything like that, like about listening to your customer. That's something I had to learn on the job.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But of course, when the brand started, it was my style. I was the only designer, and so I put out what I liked and what I thought people would like.
Right.
Of course, we had, you know, our values. For me, I really wanted women to feel confident.
Okay.
And so that translated in the styles, in the cuts, in the fabrics we were using, in the different designs, details, things like that.
Right.
But then again, even when that was put out, I really had to have an active ear on my consumer.
Right.
And I remember at that time, for a long time, actually I'd say for like 3 years, I was the one directly, like before we got our store, before we got, all of these other things, I was the one speaking directly to the customer.
Right.
If there was any, if we're delivering anything to them, I make sure I'm the one organizing the logistics.
Yeah.
When they get it, I find out how was it, how did it fit, do you like it, Nini, because that really is now how you start getting to know what they like, what are some of the changes. And it's something that's moved on even till now, because even with the brand, we'll try and have some immersive experiences in the store, where we'll invite a mix of our consumers, a mix of maybe people in the industry, but really it's to get insight on what they think about the brand.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's really amazing. Yeah.
And just have like some drinks, they come over, we connect and we socialize.
Right.
But for me, the goal is like, I want to know how can we be better for you guys? What can we do better? What do you like? What don't you like? What do you like? And it's people have a lot to say.
Right.
You just need to listen or ask the right questions.
You listen to your clients, your customers a lot. So I'm curious, what's your most iconic piece? Which is the one piece that is your hero product?
Piece?
That's been a bestseller for all these years.
I would have to give it to the Olivia mini dress. I'm not wearing it today. Today I'm wearing another hero piece, but that one I think has been the one that every time I see, and I can always tell when somebody is wearing it. It's like this dress with a puff sleeve, and it has like some details on the side. That's been our hero piece. I mean, guys love it in all the colors. We just try and introduce new colors every day,
Forgive me for my ignorance. Like, if I was, because I will definitely post a photo of that particular piece here.
Yeah.
So if I was to ever meet someone wearing that particular piece, then I should know this is an original from Cris Njoki.
Yes, original. Yeah.
Like, this is not something that existed before.
No, it didn't.
That's amazing. Yeah, like I told you, in this world of yours, I'm kind of... That's... Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. That's an original piece.
Wow.
Yeah, we really love it.
What are some of your biggest challenges in your entire line of business? Is it the delivery part, the creating? You still have to deal with fundis.
Yeah, but now they're within the brand.
Yeah.
So they go by our rules. You can't just to copy doing your own things. It's like, I know you used to do that there.
Yeah.
But this is how we do this here.
Right.
So it's much easier. But in terms of some of the complexities, let me see. I would say, maybe what I would say, okay, so when I started the brand, my thinking, and maybe it's from what we learned in school, but I really thought that I was just going to be this fashion babe. Like, my life is just like sketching and like doing all these fun things and like designing and like running shows and models and photography and and it was like that for a while. But then of course I had to wear many hats. But right now I'm finding my job is actually my team. So my job is like motivating my team, leading my team, just like making sure they keep the eye on the prize, because my eye is on the prize. But you need to make sure everybody's is, otherwise unakimbia uko peke yako.
That's true.
So my job literally every day is like not even the customers per se, it's like this my team, who the person dealing with the customers, how do I motivate them and make them feel like, I know some customers will come and talk to you rudely, whatever, they'll do this, but it's worth it. This is how you handle it, because I did it for a long time. I basically know what everyone in that company does, like, because I've done it. Come on, I've done it. If it's Percy, I've done it. If it's customer care, I've done it. If it's me in the shop, I've done it. So I feel like because I was able to slowly build a brand and, sort of get in each department as we grow, I'm able to advise whoever is there, and I'm able to monitor even how they're feeling. And I sort of know also. It's not like I just hired someone and it's like a role I've never touched. I know what everybody's pain points could be in that specific role. And that's my job now. It's just like making sure that we're all just racing towards the same direction.
I think it hit me like maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's when I realized by there's no... actual work for a CEO.
Yeah.
There's no like a definition for what a CEO does. But at the same time, your job as a CEO is actually to make sure everyone is doing their job.
Yep, exactly.
And it's
exactly.
a full-time job.
Hey, Kanza, that is so much work. Yeah, it's so much work. You have to be the one now making the tough decisions.
Yeah.
Then if someone doesn't do the work, you sort of sometimes have to step in. You know, it's just
Right.
like, yeah, it's a lot, but it's good. It's what for me. I think what I love the most is when I meet now people who want to better themselves
Right.
and people who really just take on the role, not because they're doing it for Ikojn or anything, but because they know they can learn a lot from here and it's helping them grow in that area.
Right.
Those are my favorite because I'm just like, if your goal is to grow, I'll show you. Let's grow. Let's
do
go.
this.
Let's do it. Yeah.
One, how do you keep the ideas coming? Because if there's something I can't keep up is ladies fashion. Like, hey, you guys change fashion every 24 hours, man.
That's
The
true.
fashion trend. So
That's
how do you keep yourself inspired? How do you keep the new ideas coming?
Yeah.
And how can you, I'm always curious about this. How can you foretell what the next trend is?
Like predict.
Yeah, like predict.
So this is like, I think it's a skill, right? That one, I don't even think I have the answer to it, but it's being in those spaces.
Right.
So obviously it's making sure that the things you're looking at are all geared. It's like for you, how do you predict film trends? I'm sure you can't really like pinpoint,
Right.
but because you're in it so much and it's your entire life, like for me it's like I'll have magazines, I'll be in all the websites, I'll be on, if it's TV, that's all I'm looking at. It's so there's so much being fed into me,
Right.
to where I can just already start seeing the trends happening. And then it's not even that you're following the trend, even now in the next, because at the end of the day, you still need to listen to your consumer, right? You can't just, because they say legomas are in, you can't just go and do legomas even if your customers never would ever wear them, you know?
Right.
So it's a balance of knowing who your consumer is and then also seeing what's happening in the space that you're in, and then being able to balance that out and offer them something current based on what they're used to from the brand.
Make it sound easy, but I know it's not.
Guys.
Yo.
Yes, it's years and years of doing it, you know? Yeah.
Okay. Well, what are the future plans for Ikojn? What are you looking at next 5-10 years?
Yeah.
How big do you want to get?
I want Ikojn to go into Africa. So for me, I envision Ikojn as an African brand.
Right.
Before even going into, you know, exportation or whatever, like I really do picture Ikojn as an African brand. And so I would want to see us really venture into the region and then even outside of that. And the best way to do that is through the e-commerce, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually maybe even get some retail in there, you know. I really feel like the continent, the African continent, we're still relying so much on Western fashion, especially when it comes to ready to wear, which is the genre we're in, Ikojn. We're still relying so much on Western brands.
Yeah.
It's time we have African brands that are able to service, because we know, especially brands that are made in Africa, in Kenya, we know our people best. We know what we want best. We know our body types best, you know? Yeah. So we can give ourselves that best, better than any other brand out there. And so for me, I'm just looking at Ikojn going into Africa hard. You know, that's part of our, not even 5, even 2-year plan. Like this year, that's the goal. And yeah, it's going to probably stretch out to about 10 years or so.
Right.
But I'm really looking to getting Ikojn into Africa.
And I feel you there. If you started Ikojn in 2015, that you're almost hitting a decade. So yes, so next level, you know. So that's amazing. We'll be right here clapping. What do you think stops us as Africans? Because I've heard this from, I think, every CEO who sat there. Is it what stops us as Africans?
You know, I don't think anything stops us. It's just we're a young economy. We're a young not civilization, but like we the current times, I feel like because of everything that happened before with the colonization and everything, of course, the Western world, they had a big head start.
Absolutely.
So I don't think there's anything stopping us.
Right.
It's just the time. We just need time, and if we just keep consistently doing it, right now the spotlight is on Africa.
That's
Huku
true.
watu wamechoka, they've depleted all their resources and things. The spotlight is on us, and that goes to show that we are doing something. Yes, it seems like it takes a bit longer than outside, but we can't compare. You can't compare.
That's true.
Yeah. And I don't think, actually, I think we're going pretty hum. I think we're really pushing.
Amazing. Now you being out there on social media, putting out your fashion out there, give you a huge following. You have a crazy following online.
Really?
Yes,
Who's
you do.
talking? Who's talking?
And now I was just going through your page. I'm like, wait, she just doesn't do fashion content anymore.
yeah.
Now you like properly coming out as a content creator.
Yes.
Is this on purpose? Is this something that found you and you're like, you know what? The Kikuyu ni hapa kuna pesa kidogo. Na besha.
To be honest, actually, I did. So I know what came first was Ikojn.
Yeah.
Right. So before everything, I was an entrepreneur.
Right.
And then I'd say probably about 4 years into my entrepreneurship journey is when I started, seeing the need to tell my story.
Right.
And so I started talking about, how it is growing a brand from scratch in Kenya.
Yeah.
With no funding and just doing it like literally brick by brick by yourself.
Yeah.
And that's just how I started telling my story. And people would ask like, you're the owner of Ikojn. Okay, how do you do it, Nini? And that's slowly how I began getting into social media.
Right.
And then I saw, okay, there's a space for this. There's a space that I can occupy. This is dope. And so I got into content.
Right.
And for me, it was all about showing my journey and showing that being a business owner and being an entrepreneur doesn't necessarily mean you have to be like this.
Right.
It doesn't mean you have to be, serious kila wakati. Like I can still be, there's facets to me.
Right.
And that's what social media became for me, was to just show different aspects of my life and how they all contribute to what I'm doing and to my mission.
Right.
And so I really was into content creation, for a while until about 2021 or 2022. Yeah, that's when now the shift in Ikojn started happening, where we needed to expand and we needed to expand fast.
Right.
Now it took all my time. At that point, I think I was working with a couple of brands here and there. I was dabbling between my personal brand and Ikojn. But in 2022, I think is when really the brand needed me more than Cris.
Yeah.
And so I had to pause and just commit to this growth period. And it happened. It was over a span of about a year and a half.
Yeah.
When we really expanded. I'd say I think we tripled in size. And
that's amazing.
Yeah. So and that comes with its own things. You have to grow the team. You have to grow. Demand is high, so you have to increase supply. You have to increase so many different aspects.
Absolutely.
And I needed to be there to hold my baby's hand, because that's my baby. That's like my first love.
For sure.
And then now when everything settled is when I was like, okay, I think we can go back to content.
Okay.
So that was around, the goal was to do it, maybe it was around last year, August. I was like, okay, I feel now the brand is stable enough for me to be able to go back. And that's what we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
How is that taking you? I mean, I think for me, I have probably lived the better part of my adult life in the public limelight. And I'm always curious for someone who openly chooses to go back to content creation, because I think given a chance, I would probably take the money, the fame you can keep,
you can keep it,
and just, how is that dynamic for you now? You get recognized more.
Yeah.
Privacy kidogo inapotea,
And so for me, I look at being able to build this community of women and compared to the sacrifices, because for me it's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice I have to give, my privacy. But then on the other end, I'm like, the impact that I could make with this community and with this group of women, and we could literally just change so many livelihoods.
Right.
We could change, the face of African fashion, you
Right.
know. And so I look at the pros and they definitely outweigh the cons, and I'm like, you know what, I'll be the scapegoat, it's fine. I'll take one for the team.
Well, you do it gracefully and
Yeah,
fashionably,
thank
and
you.
that's amazing. I think right now, if you go online, there are a lot of fashion designers coming up every day, and most of them are looking up to you. So, what will you tell that young lady, that young man who's starting out right now, today?
Right now,
Yeah.
for me, the first thing I'd say is you need to be a cheapskate. Like, don't act like you have money. Even if you have money, don't start your brand. Even if you do get funding, like, act cheap. Like, start it cheap. Use all the free resources you can. Really. Use all of the social medias. There's just so much. Like, I could go on and on about social
Right.
media.
Yeah.
But it's a free resource, right? Before you spend money on street billboards and what,
Right.
like, find a way to make noise and attract attention for your brand using your free resources.
Right.
Spend money on the things that matter. Spend money on your product. Make sure your product is top notch, you know, so that if anything, no one can ever come back and fault that, because that's usually the number one thing people want to fault when they're looking at a locally produced product. They'll be like, tunaona haijashona vizuri kazi zile za, you know, so you don't want to fault that.
Yeah.
Spend money on your customer service. You do not want, because your customers are the most important aspect of your business. Actually, your team is the most important aspect.
Right.
So also spend money on that. Spend money on making sure your team is, you know, well paid. They're, you know, train them if you must, you know, take your time on your team, because those are the people who are really going to be with you as you transition the business from, you know, where you're starting off to wherever you're going. So I'd say spend money on team, spend money on customer service, spend money on product, but then the rest, tighten your belt and literally just act broke, you know,
Right.
and then slowly build. Also, I'd say don't rush too much into, you know, oh my gosh, where am I gonna get like $1 million to start this thing? Or
Right.
don't always think like that. Like, if you do have an idea, I think there's so many ways you can implement it with as little as possible,
Right.
and then see if it works. There's ways you can implement an idea where you don't even start with the product. Like, I don't know, open up like a landing page and just ask guys, you know, what do you think about this? If we're launching, it's a new product, whatever, see what people's reactions are. I say, you know, because the biggest thing about starting something is you think of all of the things you have to do to be able to actually start, whether it's design, or if you want to start a fashion brand, you think, okay, I need to spend money to buy this and this and this.
Yeah.
Before you do that, maybe just start with like an IG page and start posting some things here and there, you know, some inspos, whatever. Have a small website landing page that you send to your friends and your family, where you briefly describe what you're trying to start.
Right.
And then you get their feedback on, is this something you'd like? How much would you pay for this product? You know, is this, what colors would you, is this something that's not available right now in the market? Try and get that feedback before you jump in fully.
Right.
You know, maybe that'll help elevate. Yeah, and I think other than that, I think it's just to stay consistent.
Okay.
You know, that's a big one, because it's easy to
Resilience.
start.
Yeah.
And again, nothing is built overnight, you know.
For sure.
But if you decide you're doing this thing,
Right.
don't stop after 6 months, 8 months, because you don't get, you know, yeah.
Okay. What's your stranger than fiction story? That story that happened to you, like, hii nikiambia watu hawataniamini, but aki really happened.
To be honest, I feel like mine is the China one. That's my China one. Like, honestly, I was like, how? I'd saved up like 2 million for my business and it's just gone. Like, just gone. Like that.
Aki, hatuwezi enda tu atafute.
Okay, to be honest, kujaribu. I said, you know what? God is going to find you.
Uliwastaki kwa Mungu.
Fine. I went and just told God, please, wherever they are, just go find them.
Pole, Aki, those Chinese, Mungu anawaona.
Okay. God is saying that. Me, in my mind, in fact, I just forgive them. I said, it's okay. God will handle it.
Yeah. And it's so sad, because I've had this story with every person who's tried to sell clothes and they're shipping them from China. There's
always that. Always.
And I think people don't talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
Like, these are the challenges you'll face in this industry.
You know, and to be honest, I think we need to talk about failures more.
Yeah.
As much as we talk about
The success.
let's talk about the things that didn't work out. And I don't think there's a shame in that.
Right.
For me, I'm going to be honest as much as I can, because there was no one for me at that time when I was starting who I could look at and see sort of like how they've mapped their journey and then emulate. Everybody I was looking at, every brand I was looking at was outside of Africa.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, how can I talk about this more? You know, how can I share my story more? Talk about my failures, things that have worked, things that haven't. You know, I really do try and, you know, speak to whoever comes into my DM and try and respond. There's a course actually I was working on that was supposed to be out in January. But, you know, things got a bit busy, but we're still working on it. And it's going to be out. And for me, that course is going to be able to help whoever is, not even just in fashion, but anybody who's interested, especially in an e-commerce business. I think for me, it's literally one of the easiest and safest bets you can go with into business, because your reach is incredible. You just need to know how to navigate, what to do, and those are things I've learned over time, and so I'd want to share that.
That's amazing. You're doing so much. You're running 2 retail stores and crazy orders. And how big is your team?
So currently we're about 40. It's a lot.
Amazing. Yeah.
Sometimes I look at them, I'm like, oh my god, all you people, what are you doing here?
Unataka niwaambie nini?
And then mnaniangalia kwanza during those meetings, like the full meetings, everyone's just looking at me like, Chris, and I was like,
tuoneshe.
you tell us after what but it's a large team, honestly, and I really thank God for them, because they somehow, I don't know how, but somehow they understand what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And they get it, and they're like, you know what, let's do it together.
That's amazing. So, you know, you're running this huge team, you're running this big brand right now. How do you keep yourself in check? How do you make sure you don't burn out? Because that's very easy.
Yeah. I have my moments. I'm not going to lie. Of course, I have my moments where, you know, when things are just not working. And then, like, every idea is just not connecting. Because at that point, I know it's because I'm tired. I'm burnt out. I'm not giving myself time. But I'd say the one thing that I make sure I do for myself is just, like, self-care. Me, I'm a self-care queen. I'm a baby girl. Me, I love, you know, dressing up. And that's a form of self-care for me.
Okay.
Dressing up, looking good, going for massages, treating myself. Like me, I advocate for all that stuff. Because if it's something that innately makes you feel good, you're filling into your cup.
Right.
And you cannot pour from an empty cup. And so for me, I do the things that I know make me feel good.
Right.
Pampering myself, treating myself to, you know, hanging out with people who make me feel, you know, good. And we're able to just fill each other's cups.
Yeah.
For me, that's important. And it has to be done in balance. And so I'll just make sure that I'm not staying too long before doing these things.
Right.
And initially it was like that, you know, for the first couple of years when you're starting a small business, it's like go, because you're the one doing everything.
Right.
But now later it's a little bit easier because you've been able to delegate some things here and there. And so as much as you're busy, it's not as intense as in the beginning. And so I just make sure I use that time wisely to also fill myself. Yeah.
It's something, honestly, I'm beginning to learn, like this year and part of last year, just self-care, and it's important, and I agree with you. As we wind up, what's your daily mantra? That line that you keep telling yourself every day you wake up that keeps you going?
I think I'd say mine is the day we stop to grow, we begin to die.
The day we stop to grow, we begin to die.
And it's something, one thing my dad always used to tell me is every day, if it's something you've committed to, like say your brand or your personal, whatever it is that you've committed to grow, you need to do something about it every day. Doesn't matter how small. It doesn't have to be, you know, writing like massive emails or anything, but no, it can be research. It can be, but every single day, like don't let a day pass
without you growing,
without you doing that one small thing that takes you a step closer.
Right.
And so for me, that's just my goal daily, you know. And I know if I do that every day, a month is not that long, a year is not that long, 5 years is not that long, 10 years, you know.
Yeah.
And eventually it'll happen.
Every day you stop to grow.
Yeah, the minute you
You
stop to grow, you begin to die.
The minute you stop to grow, you begin to die.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be an amazing place to end, but me na Njoki tuko na beef. There's one thing we've not agreed on.
What have I
We always
done?
Cris Njoki is the brand ambassador of cold showers. Cold showers, please tukubaliane. Mambo ya maji baridi tulimalizia high
Oh
school.
my God.
What's your thing with cold showers?
But
Why you always...
can you remember how you were energetic in high school?
No,
that's the thing that's missing now.
I used to be terrified. Boys school hata tungekaa wiki bila kuoga. Unasema nini? Juu ya kuogopa maji baridi.
No, but it's not the same. You know, the thing I tell guys about cold showers.
Yeah.
And for me, that's where it came from. I don't remember where I got it from. I think it's some podcast I listened to one time.
Right.
And they were talking about cold showers and the benefits and all that. But the biggest benefit of a cold shower is mental. Just the fact that you can take it, knowing how bad it is and how you feel so cold and how it's so uncomfortable. But then you go and you take it and you actually finish and you take it again tomorrow and the next day and the next day. It really builds your belief in yourself. Because one thing I truly am strong about is keeping promises to yourself.
Right.
And that's a big one. You know, even for me, it took me a long time to overcome. But even just being able to tell yourself, am I going to the gym? Yes. How many days a week? Good. And then keeping that promise.
Right.
The more you keep promises to yourself, the more you're convincing your brain that actually whatever goal you set, you can achieve it. Because now if you do the opposite and you don't keep that promise and you keep breaking promises, you're slowly telling yourself that maybe you're not equipped to handle whatever it is you've planned out for yourself. And so that's what I take a cold shower as. Like for me, it's a way to like challenge myself. Like every morning I'm going to take a cold shower until forever. And every time I do it, I'm just like, because I don't even think about it. These days it's just on this side. But what I'll say is I reward myself with a hot shower every evening. So I'll take a cold one in the morning and then a hot one in the evening.
Okay.
So that's like my self-care.
Okay.
You see,
balance.
Yes, the hot one is like a, hey, you did it. And then it's like a reward. But then asubuhi, 5:36,
Sasa,
baridi.
Njoki, surely, life ni hard enough as it is. Sasa mbona uongeze mashida asubuhi?
And let me tell you, you'll feel so refreshed. You'll get out of that shower and you're singing. You're just like, if I can do that, I can do anything.
Classmates, if you're convinced, just come to the comments. Utuambie. Hey, me too.
Yeah, shower squad.
Nangangana. Aki, I don't want to promise here, but I shall try.
Try one tomorrow and let me know.
Inaweza niharibia siku.
Because now the next one is now an ice bath, right? I've seen those on the internet. I still don't have the courage, but I know eventually I'll be able to do one. Naangalianga tu bathtub hapo, I'm like, wait, sasa niingiza ice cubes na maji. We'll do it one day, but not quite yet, yeah?
Yeah, I think
that one I'll call you. I'll call you.
Tufanye nini?
Ice bath.
Call me to document, but sindiko hiyo ice bath. Oh my God.
You even shivering.
Yeah. Oh wow. Anyway, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for preaching your gospel on cold showers and everything else that we've learned from you. You're such an amazing guest to have here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we've learned so much. Classmates, I hope it's true for you as well. I hope you've learned. We're still filming at Longonot. Please come check them out. Manze, amazing suits. Check them out. Waambie wakupatie hiyo discount ya field director. Otherwise, tupatane next class.